Shavua Tov, B'Shem Hashem Nasev Natzliach, Be'ezrat Hashem, the learning of the Torah that we do today, may it be in the zechut of Am Yisrael, the Chayalim, and of course the Chatufim that are still held in captivity. Rabotai, the Divrei Torah that I would love to share with you guys today is not my Divrei Torah. I'm taking this from Rabbi Aharon Pesach Shlita. This rabbi amazed me, like it was above and beyond, and I'll just explain to you what I mean. I'm going to try to integrate other parts of the Gemara just to make the question a little bit more, but majority of the Gemara, majority of the learning of the Torah is from his shiur that I actually heard. Rabbi Aharon Pesach is one of Rav Chaim Igal's students, and also his shamashim, one who attended to Rav Chaim Igal. Somebody had sent me a text message saying that if we would want this rabbi, when he was in New York, if we would want this rabbi to come to the House of Torah for Shabbat, which would cost $5,000, and during the weekday, if you would want him to give a class, I guess for an hour, 45 minutes, it would be $1,500. Okay, again, I don't make the decision, I don't call the decision of the House of Torah, because the man of the author of this Rabbi Chaim, I teach Torah there, but the rabbi there is Rabbi Chaim. So I didn't know who the rabbi was. So what did I do? I ended up going actually to see who this rabbi is. I wanted to actually to look into who this rabbi is that, it's so chashuv, so important that we're going to require to pay him for Shabbat 5,000 or even for an hour 1,500. So I tried to do my due diligence. I went and I started listening to his lectures, and I was shocked. I was thrown away. I'll tell you, if I start naming you the rabbis that I listen to, I don't listen to every rabbi. But if I start naming you the rabbis that I listen to, and these rabbis, they know their stuff cold. But with this rabbi, it was a little bit even on a higher level. Again, everybody, according to their own stance, everybody's a great Talmid Chacham. But with him, something else impressed me very much. Two things impressed me by him. Not only the fact that he's able to know the Torah cold, which you can look up to, but something else that he was able to do, which actually helped me remember the Torah that he was teaching, but now I'm able to incorporate that type of teaching into my own way of learning, and I'm able to actually better understand and remember the Torah also, which is what? Which was in riddles. He makes everything go in riddles, so I guess he grabs your attention, and then he tells you those sources, and then he tells you the answer, and with the sources, and you're are able to remember from off the back. And it's unbelievable, Rabotai. And it actually makes a difference in a person's life. So that really amazed me. But another thing which really struck me was when he's dealing with a lot of Talmidei Chacham, because a lot of his shu'urim are dealing with Talmidei Chachamim. He has a website that's called 24/7 Torah. It's Rabbi Aharon Pesach. He has shu'urim in English, shu'urim in Hebrew. It's brought down on the website that has over 23,500 shu'urim. Now, Rabotai, again, maybe it's for Talmidei Chachamim, but I try to make it easier, but just to listen to him, it's unbelievable. Why? When he asks a riddle and somebody wants to give an answer, or whenever he asks a halachic shayla and somebody wants to give an answer when he's dealing with Talmidei Chachamim, he doesn't accept any answer just like that. He says, fine, I like your answer, I hear what you're saying, sources, bring me sources. But one thing that really shocked me about him, that anytime somebody would give him an answer, he would quote the source, which is a little bit, it's above and beyond. And somebody else, and he quotes the source, and somebody else, and he quotes the source. And then he'll explain to you why it's not like that over there, why that cannot be the answer. Rabotai, you have to try to look up to people that are bigger than you, much greater than you, so this way you know what, what your goal can be, the height that you can reach. You see, it's doable. In any event, so I went and I listened to him, and I actually gave almost about 3 hours shiur on riddles alone, which I did take from him. And even the guys in the shul, they were very surprised, they were very impressed. I won't be surprised if they won't forget. Rabotai, one of the riddles that he gives, listen to this riddle and how it's humble and how it makes an impact in our lives. And then I'll get to today's shiur, B'ezrat Hashem, B'li Nader. One of the riddles that Rabbi Aharon Pessin brings down, and he says is like this. If you have two sick people, both davening to Kadosh Baruch Hu, they're both davening to Hashem with kavanah, at nets, 40 days straight. One of them gets answered after 40 days, the other one does not get answered after 40 days. How is that possible? How can you have two people that daven with kavanah, one get answered and he's healed, the other one does not get answered? That's what the Gemara says. Ask other people to pray on your behalf because you don't have that zuchut. What zuchut? So this was his riddle on why this one gets answered and the other one does not get answered. Rabotai, listen to the powerful answer and listen how it makes an impact in our life. The answer, he said, that the guy that gets answered is very simple. The guy that get answered was not a Talmud Chacham. He didn't learn Torah 24/7. He was a regular guy that went Shabbat, Kashrut. He was a regular guy. But he had something, Rabotai, that the other guy didn't have. Which is what? Lashon Hara. The other guy did not speak Lashon Hara. He did not have a filthy mouth where he would go and speak bad about people. That's why Hashem accepted his prayer. But the other guy that Hashem did not accept his prayer was because he spoke Lashon Hara. So Hashem says, you speak Lashon Hara, I cannot accept your prayer. Now Rabotai, he doesn't finish there because everything has to be sourced from the Torah or from the Gemara, from anywhere, as long as there is a source. And he says, from where do we learn this? We learn it from the Kohen when he goes and he starts looking at a person who has tar'at, a certain type of discoloration on his body, where the Kohen has to look at him and he has to say that this is tameh, and he has to be musgar. Musgar literally means to be closed off in a room, like quarantine, what we just went through with COVID. Comes Rabbi Aharon Pessin and he brings one of the Geonim Rabotai, I do not remember the name, and he says, do you know the message when the Torah teaches you about the halachot of Lashon Hara and about leprosy, that if a person speaks Lashon Hara, he's going to have leprosy, he's going to have discoloration on his body, so therefore he has to be in quarantine. Do you know what's coming to teach you? Because today, Rabotai, who has discoloration on the body? Who do you see today has discoloration on the body that you could tell me that this guy is tameh? Who, Rabotai? You don't see that today. Comes Rabbi Aharon Pessin Shlita and he says like this. You're right. Today you won't see it, but you could actually see it. How? Because he says when it's from the language of musgar, from the language where he has to quarantine himself, in that root word of musgar, you have a 3-word letter. Samach Gimel Resh, means sagur, something which is closed off. He says a person that speaks Lashon Hara, so get at the Altosh Ari Shamam, he closes the doors of heaven. And that's why the tefillah cannot be answered. Where am I coming with this? Comes Rabbi Aharon Pesach and he says, Rabotai, a lot of times a person wants to know why his tefillot are not heard. What has he done? He's learning Torah, he's keeping Shabbat, he's giving tzedakah, he's doing everything, he's doing chesed. By why aren't his tefillot heard? Why can he get married? Why he cannot have children? Why is it difficult for this guy financially? Rabotai, from here you see which person is a leper or not. From here you see which person has tzara'at or not. If a Kadosh Baruch Hu answers your prayer, you should know, Rabotai, you're in good end. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers your prayer. Because you don't have that discoloration, spiritual discoloration that's holding your prayers back. That's what, Rabotai, we have to understand. Lashon Hara is a very dangerous thing. That in itself holds us back from our prayers being answered. There's more, there's a lot that he was saying on it. The Zohar says a person speaks Lashon Hara and the guy that says and learns Torah all day, Rabotai. For example, it says like this. You have two people, one guy sits and learns Torah all day and speaks Lashon Hara. The other guy, a regular balabai, doesn't learn Torah but doesn't speak Lashon Hara. The guy that speaks Lashon Hara and the other guy who doesn't learn Torah and doesn't speak Lashon Hara, they switch their accounts. The older mitzvot go to him and all the averot go to him. In Shamayim, when the guy who's learning Torah 24/7 is going to come up, he's going to say, I didn't sleep with her. I didn't hit her. I didn't rub this. I didn't do that. I didn't do this. You did. How? When you spoke Lashon on the other Jew, all the Aver is transferred to you. Rabotai, so from here, Rabbi Aaron Pessin says we have to be very careful when it comes to using our tongue. Is it really worth? Imagine working hard, trying to build a house, a year, 2 years, with all the fine details, and this came from Italy, this came from Spain, and this came from Moscow, I don't know, each. And then just to go and just try to destroy the house in 1 second, it's not worth it. So why we, Rabotai, when we're learning Torah, when we're doing mitzvot, why for 2 minutes of pleasure, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the amount of time a person speaks Lashon Hara, is it really worth it to go ahead and destroy everything that we worked on? Not. Now, Rabotai, that was the message. You have to understand that this message sticks. Why? Because there was a riddle and there was an answer to the riddle, and they go hand in hand. And that's why, I was thinking this morning, actually I said it to somebody, I said, I was thinking this morning, no wonder Shlomo Melech, he has a sefer called Mishlei, right? Proverbs. And over there, Rabotai, they do everything through parables. They explain everything through parables. Why? Because this way people are going to be able to understand the halachic concepts better, the Torah concepts better. They're going to be able to understand and appreciate Avodat Hashem better. So I think that's actually a very, very nice way of actually bringing things across. Okay. Rabotai, that was that. Now we can start the shiur. Rabbi Aaron Pessin asks a question. In this week's parsha, right, it spoke about Balak and Bil'am, where Balak asked Bil'am to go ahead and curse the Jewish people. Rabbi Pessin asks a question. He wants to understand how could it be that Balak's name is not only mentioned in the Torah, but he has a parsha which is dedicated to him, his own name, Parshat Balak. Moshe Rabbeinu, Rabotai, on the other hand, does not have one name. Yeah, his name is mentioned throughout the Torah, but does he have one parsha dedicated Parshat Moshe Rabbeinu? How could it be that Balak has a parsha named after him and Moshe Rabbeinu does not have it? Rabotai, before we even try to answer this question, I want to try to just explain to you who Moshe was. Again, everybody knows what Moshe was, but try to show you where Moshe was holding and what Moshe Rabbeinu did for the Jewish people, and still the Torah was not given through him, and meaning, the Torah was given through him, but the parsha was not named after him. But Balak, Rabotai, what did he do? He tried to come against the Jewish people, and somehow his name is in the parsha. Rabotai, in Masechet Shabbat in Daf Peichet Amud Bet, he speaks about over there that when Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to Shamayim, he has a debate with the angels. The angels tell Hashem, why would you ever give the Torah to human beings? Comes Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't know what to answer them. Hashem says, why are you quiet? Reply back, tell them why the Torah doesn't belong to them, why it belongs to you guys on the land. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I am afraid because the hevel, the breath that's going to come out of their mouth, is going to burn me alive. Hashem says, don't worry about it. Hashem says, Echos b'kisei kevodi v'chazor lahem teshuva. Hashem says, hold on to my chair, my honorable chair, and answer them. From here they learn out, Rabotai, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, his name from the ziv of the Shekhinah, from the radiance of the Shekhinah, and the Ananu, like the cloud, Rabotai, he placed over Moshe Rabbeinu as a protection, like an aquarium, so the angels are not going to be able to burn him. Comes Moshe Rabbeinu begins his debate with the angels. Comes Moshe Rabbeinu says, the first proof that he says to him like this, it's written in the Torah, I am Hashem your God that took you out of the land of Egypt. So he tells the angels, did you guys come down to Egypt? Were you guys slaves to Paro? Absolutely not. So he says, Torah lama tielachem, so why do you need the Torah? You guys don't even have the first commandment, so why do you need the Torah? Again, the Torah says, Lo yelecha Elohim acharim. You shouldn't have another God. So Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Jewish people, to the angel of death, to the Satan, to the angels, Ben amim atem shurim she'ovdim avodah zarah. Do you guys rest among non-Jewish people that you guys should do avodah zarah, idol worshipping, that you should have other gods? You guys don't have it. Then he continues and he says, Zechor et Yom HaShabbat lekadsho. It says in the Torah that you have to guard the Torah, you have to remember the Torah to sanctify it. Why? Do you guys stop from doing malacha? You guys don't do malacha. There's no need for you guys to rest. Rabotai, and so on and so forth, not to steal, not to kill, etc. You guys, basically Moshe Rabbeinu went commandment after commandment, proving to the angels that the Torah belongs to the Jewish people and not to the angels. Rabotai, listen to this. V'amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi said, B'sha'ah she'yarad Moshe milifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when Moshe Rabbeinu came down from before Hashem, Bas Satan, the Satan came. Now Rabotai, Rashi says something fascinating in Dibra Matchil Bas Satan. Hu Yetzer Hara HaMachti et Adam. The Satan is the evil inclination that will make a person sin. Hu Ha'oleh. Then that same Satan that made you sin is going to go back up. Umastin, and then he gets you in trouble. Then he tattletells him. Then he says, oh, look, he sinned. That's the Rabotai. A person has to be very smart. You need to understand when it comes to doing Averos, it's not so pashut. You need to understand that this enemy, the Yitzhar, that's trying to make you do this Avera, he'll make you do the Avera, he'll bring this Avera before Hashem, and he's going to accuse you with that Avera. So you have to be very smart not to give in, not to be too quick in giving in when it comes to doing Averot. So, the Satan came before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ve'amar lefanav, and he said before Hashem, Ribono shel olam, Master of the universe, Torah heichen hui. After Moshe Rabbeinu took the Torah, the Satan says to Hashem, where's the Torah? Amar lo, he said to him, Netaticha la'aretz, I gave it to the land. Halach etzel ha'aretz, Amar lo, he went to the land and he said to it, Torah heichen hi. Amar lo, Elohim hevin darka. Hashem knows, we don't know. The land is telling the Satan, we do not know where the Torah is. Halach etzel hayam, he went by the ocean. Va'amar lo enimati, the ocean said it's not with us. Halach etzel tahom, he went by the depthness of the sea. Amar le, they said to him, ein bi, it's not within us. Shenemar tehom amar lo bihi ve'yam amar enimati. Avdom ha'mamet amru, then he went to destruction and death. And he says, where's the Torah? Amru, they said, Bosdenu shamanu shima. We heard where it is, but we do not know who has the Torah. Fine. Rabbi Otai, listen to this. Chazar v'amar lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Came the Satan back before Hashem, and he said, Ribono shel olam, Master of the universe, Chipasti b'chol haaretz v'lo matzaticha. I went, I searched the whole land, and I did not find the Torah. Amar lo, Hashem said to the Satan, Lech etzel ben Amram, go to the son of Amram, meaning go to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu has it. Halach etzel Moshe, he went by Moshe. Amar lo, he said to him, Torah shenatan lecha HaKadosh Baruch Hu heichadi. The Satan says to Moshe Rabbeinu, the Torah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you, where did you put it? Amar lo, he said to him, V'chi ma'ani shenatan li HaKadosh Baruch Hu Torah. Hashem said to him, who am I that Hashem should give me the Torah? Rabotai, listen to this. Comes the Satan and he tells Moshe Rabbeinu, where's the Torah? Comes Moshe Rabbeinu and he says, who am I that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give me the Torah? What's the obvious question? Listen what Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu. Amar le HaKadosh Baruch Hu le Moshe. Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe, Badayata? Moshe, are you lying? Are you a liar, Chas v'shalom? Like, as a question. Amar lefanav, Moshe said before Hashem, Ribono shel olam, Master of the universe, Chamuda ginuzda yesh lecha she'ata mishtasheh ba bechol yom. You have something dear which was hidden by you, which you go ahead and you take joy, you play with it every single day, which is the Torah. I'm going to hold of myself as if I did something. Hashem said to Moshe, since you diminish yourself, you made yourself small, you didn't take credit for accepting the Torah. Rabotai, listen to this. Tikare al shimecha. The Torah is going to be called on your name. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, Zichru Torat Moshe Avdi. Remember the Torah of Moshe, my servant. Now, Rabotai, you have to understand something. Two fascinating points. Point number one is like this. When Moshe Rabbeinu minimized himself and he didn't take credit for what he did, HaKadosh Baruch Hu immediately made him great. Hashem immediately said, the whole Torah will be called on your name. That's what we say, Torah Moshe, Moshe's Torah. Rabotai, how did he get it? Minimize, he diminished himself. When a person does something and he takes credit, Rabotai, you might take the credit of it. Maybe one or two people are going to tell you, oh wow. But Rabotai, in the eyes of Hashem, you're diminished. But if you say, no, it was not me, Baruch Hashem, Hashem gave me the ability to help you, etc. I'm only a good messenger. When Hashem sees you're not taking credit for yourself, Hashem then makes your name, Rabotai, go out. Not only people know you now, because Baruch also holds of you. That's point number one. Point number two, we see over here, that the whole Torah is called after Moshe Rabbeinu. The obvious question is, Rabotai, Moshe Rabbeinu, I could understand why the Torah is called after him, such a holy person. Rabotai, he went Mesirat Nefesh, he loved every single Jew. He went up 40 days, 40 nights to receive the Torah. He stood on behalf of the Jewish people. Moshe Rabbeinu, I could understand. He did a lot for us. But still, his name is not mentioned in the Parsha. But Balak, what did he want to do? Balak wanted to curse the Jewish people through Bilam. So how in the world, where Balak is trying to curse the Jewish people, how in the world does his name, a Parsha is named after him? Imagine, Rabotai, a child is born Loleinu, right? What I mean Loleinu, you'll understand. By the Brit Milah, he says, "V'nikra Shemo b'Yisrael." Yimach Shemo Hitler. Father says Hitler. Where are you going to... Nobody's going to name the child Hitler, Rabotai. So what happened over here? Hashem named the whole Parsha after Balak. Rabotai, Rabbi Pessin asked the question. I just try to bring this Gemara, just try to combine it, spice it up, because his riddles are like 1-2 minute riddles. So I just want to make it a little bit more spicy, if you can say it like that. Okay. Now, before we move forward, we have to ask another question. Comes Rabbi Pesach, he says, if you look into Masechet Yomah, Amud Bet, it says over there, V'shem Rishayim Yirkav. It says over there that the name of the evil people, it should be rotten, it should be blotted out. When we speak about Amalek, we say Yim Chazer, right? We say that Amalek's remembrance should be blotted out. When we speak about Haman, we stomp our floors, we stomp with our foot on the floor. When we mention Hitler, Yimach Shemo, right? When we mention the Rishaim, everything's Yimach, Shema, whatever. Okay. Rabotai, over here, we don't say that. By Balak, we don't say that. Interestingly enough, we don't say that. Comes Rabbi Pesach Shlita and he brings down Masechet Sanhedrin Daf Kufei Amud Bet. Do you know why we didn't erase his name from the Torah? Do you know why he got a name, the Parsha which was named after him? Because in reality, when Bilam tried to curse the Jewish people, what came out from his curses? He wasn't able to curse. Every time he tried to curse us, we got blessings. So Masechet Sanhedrin Daf Kufei Amud Bet, it says, since we got eternal berachot from this man, because his klalot were turned into berachot, for that Balak deserves to have his name to be mentioned in the Parsha. Rabotai, that's one Peshat. Another Peshat Rabbi Pesach brings down. He says, let me see the name. It was from Rabbi Meir, from Miprish Shalom, from another city, Rabotai. Do you know what happened over here? He explains, we know that there's a halacha which is known that Esav sonet Yaakov, that Esav hates Yaakov. And one of the things that Rabbi Meir brings down, and he says that you have to understand, whenever you have a non-Jew that tries to befriend you, he hugs you and he kisses you and he tries to be your friend, you always have to be careful. I don't have to tell you what you see today, what goes on in the world. At some point, somehow the college professors or the deans, everybody was nice, and all of a sudden you see all this anti-Semitism in the world just rises out of nowhere. They're showing their true colors. Because you have to be very careful, Rabotai. Yesh chokhmah bagoyim, aval en emunah begoyim. Goyim might have wisdom, they're very smart, they do a lot of, they have a lot of knowledge. Rabotai, but do they have emunah, can you trust them? Absolutely not. That's one of the halachot of Shulchan Aruch is brought down, that a person is not allowed to take a haircut by a goy, because we're afraid that at the time when he's taking the haircut, he might slaughter him, and that's it, chas v'shalom, and nobody's going to know about it. Today, Rabotai, it's a little bit different because you have police, you have authority, and so on and so forth. You have people watching. So you have different halachot. Still consult with your rabbi if you should be taking haircuts by non-Jews, even nowadays. Rabotai, there's a lot of cases that is brought down where the Chachamim do not want us to be with non-Jews for whatever reasons, that we shouldn't learn from them, we shouldn't eat with them, we shouldn't drink with them, in order not to become assimilated with them. Why am I saying this? Rabotai, since we know that Esav soneh et Yaakov, that Esav hates Yaakov, one of the things that Balak did, he didn't hide it. He came out and he said the truth. I want to curse the Jewish people. He was not afraid. Oh, Hashem said, you being emet, you being honest. Hashem said, because of that, your name should be placed in the parsha. I'm going to name a parsha after you. And that's what we have, parsha Balak. Another answer he gives, he says, even a goy Rabotai who's mikayem and the halakha should get rewarded with his name being mentioned, meaning the parsha should be named after him. Which is what, Rabotai? Because Balak, Rabotai, was fulfilling a saying of Chazal. Because Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, Biyadua Esav Sunet Yaakov. So he was following the words of the Chachamim. So therefore, even for doing a halakha, Rabotai, Hashem says, you have the zechut, you have the merit that the parsha should be named after you. We see from here over here two important concepts. Being emet, Rabotai, when a person speaks 100% emet, and at the same time, Rabotai, fulfilling halachot. If Balak, who spoke the emet even though it was negative against the Jewish people, and who fulfilled the halakha even though he didn't know he was fulfilling the halakha, that was his reward, Rabotai. How much more so we, the Jewish people, how much more so our reward is going to be, where we, on the contrary, Rabotai, we know the halachot and we follow the halachot, and so on and so forth. Rabotai, that was the second answer. The third answer, he comes down, Rabbi Pesach brings down, and he says like this. We all know that in Masechet Kiddushin, in Daf Mem Amor Aleph, there's a saying that says, Machshava tova misarfa lema'aseh, Machshava ra'a en HaKadosh Baruch Hu misaref lema'aseh. There is a concept of Masechet Kiddushin, Daf Mem Amor Aleph, where it says over there that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he joins a person's thoughts. If there were good thoughts, he joins it to the actions, even though he was not able to do it. I will explain. But if a person had bad thoughts in his mind, he wanted to do something bad, but if it did, the outcome was not bad, it was never fruitful, Hashem is going to say you never did any Averum. First example, Rabotai. Where do we have this concept of Machshava Tova Mistarfa L'Maseh? That when a person has a good Machshava, we're going to tell you that Hashem joins it to the conclusion, even though you never did it. For example, a person wakes up early in the morning. He decides to go to shul. He comes out and he sees he has a flat tire. He wanted to go to shul. He can now go because he has no car. And he doesn't go to shul. Hashem says, you went to shul that day, you davened with the minyan, you said Kaddish, you did everything. Why? Because your machshava tova, when you have a good machshava to do something good, even though you didn't do it in the end, it didn't come to fruition. Nevertheless, Chazal tell us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes your machshava tova and takes the action that was not fruitful and he puts it together and he says it's as if you did it. Or another case, Rabotai, very, very, very important halakha. A lot of times people, unfortunately, I don't know why, I'm not here to judge them, they come to shul and the wives are going to call you, Rabbi, My husband's in shul, davening while I'm losing my mind. Rabotai, again, everybody should always consult the rabbi. But let's say that this guy has only 1 million at 7 o'clock. For example, he doesn't have nets, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Let's say he has 1 million at 7 o'clock. The father decides to wake up at 7 o'clock and he decides to go to shul. But at that moment, Rabotai, his wife is going nuts. The father can probably go down 8 o'clock, maybe he could go somewhere else, maybe drive 15 minutes out, 9 o'clock, I don't know. Or maybe he doesn't even have a million, Rabotai. But instead of helping the wife, the father gets up and he goes to shul and he davens while his wife is losing her mind with the kids. She has to change them, she has to dress them, she has to feed them, she has to put them on the bus. The wife cannot split herself in 500 pieces. Therefore, every smart man has to know, if he knows that he has to take his children to the school or his wife needs his help, see to it to find a later minyan or an earlier minyan. Get up 4:30. I don't care what time you're going to get up. Get up 4:30, come back 6 o'clock and start helping your wife. But to put all the burden on your wife and to go down and to be a tzaddik, Rabotai, the real tzedakah a person can do is with his household. It begins with your wife and your children. Not to show off outside that I do tzedakah. Everything starts within the house, Rabotai. A healthy foundation inside the house is a healthy foundation outside of the house. Or another case, sometimes they start doing right now minchas late. Shabbat comes in late now. Excuse me. I know I probably shouldn't be drinking with a straw, but excuse me there. Rabotai, another case. Right now Shabbat comes in almost 8 something. So some shuls have it 7 o'clock. Some shuls even begin their mincha 6:15. So people want to try to go down 6:15 seconds, they can come back 7 o'clock. But let me ask you a question. When you go 6 o'clock or 6:15 or even 7 o'clock and you come back 8 o'clock and your wife still didn't accept Shabbat and the house, nothing's ready, the candles are not lit because she still has time because Shabbat is maybe 8:20, 8:25, 8:30, whatever the Shabbat might be. Let me ask you a question. You come down, you sit down like a king. But Rabotai, but don't you see that your wife is going through a hard time? What are you trying to do? You're trying to do mitzvah d'Rabbanan, but at the same time you are transgressing forbiddings from the Torah by leaving the house a mess, leaving all your kids with your wife, making her life miserable, and then you wonder why they hate our religion. We need to help our wives, Rabotai. This is it. You can't do it, get a cleaning lady. You can't get a cleaning and call your mother for, I don't know, Rabotai. Get somebody to help her. They need help. They're not robots, Rabotai. They're not superwoman, and plus they have to work today. Rabbi, I am very much for people helping their wives and their children, and I do not agree with the whole concept where people drop everything on their wife and their children, and then they go out and they do everything was unnecessary, Rabbi. First comes the wife and the children, then comes everything else. This is the rule. You want to have a good, everybody wants to know, happy wife, happy life, Rabotai. It's the other way around. You want to have a happy husband, you'll have a happy wife, you'll have happy children, you have a happy life. But in reality, the truth is, Rabotai, in order to have a happy life, the husband has to give off of himself to the wife. It doesn't matter how, but he has to try to take burdens off from her. If you see she's having a hard time cleaning the house, get a cleaning help. You see she's not in time to light the candles, what, you want me to tell you not to go to shul? Don't go to shul. What should I tell you? To go to shul at 6 o'clock, to daven mincha 6 o'clock and come back 7 o'clock, and then wait for your wife when she's like a chicken without a head running around and trying to make everything. No, Rabotai, doesn't make sense. Go down at 8 o'clock. There are minyanim that have 8:15, 8 o'clock. I go sometimes. They have 8 o'clock, 8:50. Go. Come back 9 o'clock like a human being. But at least when you come back, at least you have a normal wife. And normal children, Rabotai. Normal wife equals normal children. Rabbi said, what are we getting to? So over here we see clearly that if a person be'emet wanted to do something good and he was not able to do something good because he was not able to go to shul, he was not able to daven in the morning, he was not able to daven with the minyan because his wife needed his help, she needed to go to work and the babysitter didn't come on time or the bus is running late, whatever the situation might be, Hashem says, Rabotai, you had a good machshava, you had good intentions, Machshava tova, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitzaref lema'aseh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes your good thought, even though you were not fruitful in that action. Hashem says it's as if you did it. Remember this, Rabotai. Let's get back to the parsha. But what happened with you with Balak? But when it comes to machshava ra'ah, but when a person says, ooh, I want to go do this, I want to rob him, I want to do this, I want to steal, whatever, right? I want to, whatever, Rabotai, I don't want to get into Averos. Yeah, a person says, I want to go to the beach, I want to go over here, I want to, whatever it might be. In the end, it didn't work out. He got a flat tire. You know what Hashem says? Just because you had a machshava ra'ah, you had a bad thought, you had a thought of a vera, but since the actions were not fruitful, Hashem says, I will not join the two. I would say that as if you did nothing that day. You were clean by me. That's how much Hashem loves us. That's what Masechet Kiddushin Daf Mem Amud Aleph brings down. Shakadosh Baruch Hu ein mistarev machshava ra'ah lema'aseh. He does not join a person's bad thoughts to the actions which were not fruitful when it comes to sin. Rabotai, knowing this, listen to what Rabbi Pessin says. When Balak wanted to curse the Jewish people, what happened in the end? He wanted to curse the Jewish people through Bilam, but what ended up happening? Everything came into blessings. So Hashem says, in reality, Balak is a tzaddik. He didn't do nothing wrong. What did he do wrong? His curses came out to be blessings. Rabotai, his curses came out to be blessings. So therefore, because we're not going to take the machshava ra'ah and to combine it with the action. So if we're not going to do that, Rabotai, comes out that Balak did nothing wrong. And that's why his name, that's why there's a parsha named after him. Rabotai, Rabbi Pesach Shlita brings down Rabbi Pesach Shlita brings down as a riddle. He asks a question since we're dealing in the Parsha Balak. Who was more wiser? Was Moshe Rabbeinu wiser? Or was Bil'am wiser? Who had more chokhmah? Yeah, go ahead, guys. Try to think about it. Who do you think had more chokhmah? The way I'm saying, you guys are probably thinking 100% Bilam, right? Rabotai, no, you're right. Who had more chokhmah, Rabotai? Moshe Rabbeinu or Bil'am? Comes Rabbi Pesach Shlita, and he says, I'm just trying to look for the source. I gotta find the source. Where did it go? Comes Rabbi Pesach Shlita, and he says, I remember now. He brings Tana de Biliyahu Rabbah. Tana de Biliyahu Rabbah says that Bil'am was more wise, he had more chokhmah than Moshe Rabbeinu. Why did Hashem do that? Because as we all know, when the non-Jews are going to come with a claim against the Jewish people, they're going to say, you gave such a prophet to the Jewish people, Moshe Rabbeinu, who did you give to us? So Hashem says, He gave them Bil'am, somebody who's even more wiser than Moshe Rabbeinu. However, Rabotai, in Tana de Biliyahu Zuta, it says over there that Bilam was not bigger than Moshe, but actually Bilam and Moshe Rabbeinu were identical level in Chokhmah. Rabotai, knowing this, listen to the next question. How is it possible that whichever way you want to learn, if Bilam had more Chokhmah, or even if he was equal in Chokhmah with Moshe Rabbeinu, how is it possible that Moshe Rabbeinu became Moshe Rabbeinu? He sanctified himself. He became holy. We have a nation, the Jewish nation, the only nation of Botai that has this kind of achdud, loves each other, helps each other. Whereas Botai with Bil'am, he didn't come close to Moshe Rabbeinu. How can a person have so much chokhmah and still not be able to rise to the challenge and become great? To such an extent, Rabotai, that they say that Bilam's wife was the donkey. How could that be, Rabotai? How can it be a person who learns, chokhmah, in the end he stays a very degrading, a very low person. But Moshe Rabbeinu, somehow, Rabotai, he now was not only the humblest person from all the world, from all the people in the world, but Moshe Rabbeinu Rabotai, we got the Torah from him. He took us out of Egypt. He sanctifies us as a nation, and so on and so forth. How could it be that Moshe Rabbeinu was able to make himself a great person, whereas Bil'am was not able to make himself a great person, when he, according to one opinion, had even more wisdom than Moshe Rabbeinu? The answer, says Rabbi Pesach Rabotai, the answer is very simple. The answer is, Rabotai, when you have Chokhmah without Yirus Shamayim, it doesn't mean much. And it's a Gemara. It's not something new that he's saying, it's a Gemara. The Gemara says that if you have a Talmud Chacham that learns Torah, but has no Yirus Shamayim, but he has no Midot Tovot, he doesn't fear Hashem, the Gemara says, Rabotai, Chazal use the language, Nevila shebeshuk yoter tova mimena. That Nevila, a dead carcass, take a dead dog, a dead cat, take a dead sheep that's lying down on the street, is better than a Talmud Chacham who has no Yirus Shamayim. Rabotai, we're not in this world to accumulate knowledge. We're in this world to change as human beings. But that's what, Rabotai, it's very hard for us at times to do that. We come, we learn, but how much of that do we apply? Now, Rabotai, this is the difference between Moshe Rabbeinu and Bil'am. Bil'am did not receive the Torah. Moshe received the Torah, but it was not enough to only receive the Torah, but it was also, there was another prerequisite to receiving the Torah. You have to have Yirus Shamayim. You have to have good midot. You have to have derech eretz. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu had. When you combine the two, Rabotai, you become great. But when you don't have Yirus Shamayim, when you don't have derech eretz, we have a very big problem. Even if you have Torah, Rabotai, it's called in Chazal language, Chamor Noseh Kelim, donkey that carries books. Rabotai, today they came up with such a thing that's called artificial intelligence, AI. AI will know more Torah than anybody else. But Rabotai, did he toil for that Torah? Will anybody ask him for blessings? Did he work on himself? Absolutely not. That kind of Torah does not count, Rabotai. Google also knows. Rabbits in Siri also has Torah. All of them have Torah. But nobody ever went to Google and said, Google, please bless me. Nobody ever said, Siri, please bless me. Rabotai, because blessings only come to fruition, that's only when the Talmidei Chachamim or the rabbis, when they go ahead and they work on themselves and they allow the Torah to penetrate them. So B'ezrat Hashem, Rabotai, the bracha is like this, that when we learn Torah, when we learn Hashem's holy Torah, it should penetrate us to such an extent where we're going to change. But I want to end with this riddle. This riddle, I got it from somewhere else. I don't know who said it. This riddle is very interesting. There were 3 frogs sitting on a log. One of them decided to jump. How many frogs are left on the log? The answer is 3 frogs are still left on the log. How is it possible? Just because a person decides to do something, it doesn't mean you're going to do it. Whenever we learn Torah and we have these nice ideas, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Rabotai, it's not enough to have these good ideas and to start making decisions we want to change. Rabotai, it should be taken immediately. You should start doing something very small in that thing that you just learned, so it could stay by you, you could retain it, and that way you're going to be able to grow bigger and bigger. One of the Gedolim one time said, Rabotai, if we would have only kept one of the Kabbalot, by Ne'ilah, this is what we took upon ourselves, just kept one of them for the past 40 years, today we would have been Malachim angels. But as everybody knows it, Kabbalot, everything is nice, whatever you want to accept, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. In the end, we know Yom Kippur Rosh Hashanah is coming up right now. The bottom, the emes is, we all know Rabotai, who remembers what he even accepted upon himself. That's what Rabotai is. It's not enough only to learn Torah. Also, Rabotai, a person has to learn Torah with Yirus Shamayim. B'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give us the strength to be able to learn His holy Torah, to be able to spread His holy Torah through our Midot Tovot, to have Yirus Shamayim, and to make us name great. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen ve'amen.